We just start with an update on Dak's status, what he'll do today, and in light of where he is, will Cooper Rush work in and get some more work with the starters than usual?
Yeah, definitely. I think Dak has improved every day. Today's plan is for him to start in all the individual. So he'll be working through the individual in the fundamental periods in the group and into the combo, and then we'll assess where he is at that point.
How do you balance with where he is with the potential to get Cooper more work with the starters than he normally would?
Definitely. I just think it's a matter of trying to, make sure Cooper's ready and to make sure Dak is getting what he needs. But, until Dak clears the threshold of, the rehab component with Britt, we won't, make that determination of going full go until we get to that point. So with that, we got to make sure we're getting Cooper ready too.
So you really have to work along two tracks. I mean, getting both guys ready to play Sunday and just see how it plays out with that.
Definitely.
During a normal week, does Cooper get time with the ones during practice?
Absolutely. No, Cooper gets 1 rep. So I think it's important for really keep developing all those quarterbacks, whether it's the look team reps or the opponent reps. I think it's clearly something that we try to do throughout with our younger players. Just always a focus on the future, because you look at a guy like Zach Martin, or, they only need so many reps at this point. So you're starting to balance those type of situations out.
If you have to hold Dak out of team period stuff, how does that influence the decision for Sunday?
I wouldn't read more into it based on what snaps or what occurs today. So no, I won't. Whoever takes the team periods will not determine the decision on Sunday, just to answer your question.
You've had quarterbacks that have played through calf strains before. What do you need to see during the week of practice to say, okay, he can protect himself, if not move around the ways he usually does?
I went through something similar back in 2014 with Aaron Rodgers. He hurt it late in the year, and then we were dealing with this, in playoffs. So obviously a different time of year, but there's a protocol that Britt and Dak have a tremendous relationship. So this is something that they've established over the years. So just as far as the particular injury, the ability to improve each day and not have a setback, that's really what we're focused on. So how we play will be a big part of it. just to make sure that he's full go and he has no limitations is what we're looking for. We are in week 7.
How difficult was it for Aaron to play through back then?
Oh, it was difficult. It was the weather was different. 2 outdoor games, and then played up in Seattle there in the NFC Championship game. So yeah, that was a challenge. But it was January. It's a different time of year and had some different circumstances.
Certainly not to minimize it, but is it a little easier to manage at that position than certain other positions like a receiver or an offensive lineman where it's all just burst or push?
Definitely. I think it's clearly the position that you could probably play with a calf strain earlier in the rehab process than the other positions.
Mike, you mentioned the communication with Britt. Just how good is Dak at that in terms of being, straightforward to how he's feeling, going back to the shoulder and training camp and obviously the ankle last year?
I think he's getting better because he's so driven and he's always going to push through. So I think it's like anything. There's a tremendous history there that you have to tie into. So Britt and Dak have a tremendous history and relationship. So I feel like we'll be on the same page as how he progresses through this. But yeah, he's going to do everything he can to play on Sunday, and that's a given.
Is there any part of you that looks at the standings and are comfortable leaving the division in a decision like that, or do you just throw that kind of stuff out?
I think it's a clear decision. We don't want this to be a week-to-week situation, so until he clears that threshold, to try to minimize the risk is really what the decision will come down to.
What is the threshold putting a percentage on where the strain is, or is it just what he actually is able to do physically?
It's a great sports science question that I'm not going to act like I know the answer to, but I think some of that's makes for good content. But no, I think we're going to trust Britt and Dak and the whole process and make the right decision.
Mike, the other guys who are working back, who you're getting back in practice, what's their status, and any of them that you anticipate might be able to play on Sunday?
Well, we're not going to talk about anybody playing on Sunday till Sunday, right? Isn't that how we do it, Brad? I mean, I'll get you on the radio Sunday if Rich doesn't forget about the call. But no, we're starting to get those guys back. You know, Dorrance Armstrong will do more today. Kelvin will do more. So I'm trying to think who else it hasn't. Tristan, Mike will go through the individual. So we'll start working those guys back, and but whether it's 1 week, 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, but it's good to get those guys back out there.
Would you say a little bit about Tristan? What you hadn't really had a lot of time with him. You didn't draft him. What's your read on him and your expectations?
I think he's such an explosive player. I thought he did some really good things last year before he was injured. So, he's been chomping at the bit to get back out there. So I thought it was, he had great energy Monday, in the team periods. So, I mean, just to get him back into the heavy lift, I'm really looking forward to seeing him work tomorrow in the pads. But he looks good. I feel like he's, clearly almost fully rehabbed. He just needs the football part of it now.
Is Collins back as a full go, or do you ease him in because he's missed 6 weeks here?
We're gonna push him in there. I mean, he looks good. Moved well, Monday. So, obviously, LC has position flexibility. We're going to start the week with Terrence at right tackle. So, but LC gives us some great competition in there, and so we're going to try to work him as much as possible this week.
What positions are you going to flex him in?
We'll work him with tackle and guard.
Yeah.
What is McGovern? Will you do anything new with McGovern this week? Will he get first team reps at center or anything of that
Yeah,
nature?
we'll continue to work him the way we've been working him, both with the center and the guard position.
So the official PR depth chart lists LC as the second left guard. He hadn't even been listed there for several years. What should we read into that?
Well, it's Rich is doing his homework. He's paying attention and looking at past depth charts. So we can give Rich a hand on that if you like.
How long did it take you to put that together, Rich?
It's a conglomeration of many things that factored into it.
Obviously, you're setting up the competition here because Steele's performed pretty well, but is that the benefit of what Steele's done for you now that Collins is back and missing this time? You kind of look at him and see who the best five are going to be?
I mean, you clearly got to recognize how well Terrence played. I mean, it's, we all recognize that. Continuity of the offensive line is something that you're always striving to sustain over the course of the year. Those guys, the intricacies of what goes on up front, the reps of them playing together is crucial. So we want to continue to grow that, but also I think this gives us the most competitive, the most depth I know that I've had in my time here in the offensive line room.
He played guard before he swung out to right tackle. Is it easy to move back inside where things are quicker and right on top of you?
Well, I mean, we'll find out. So I mean, that's all part of it. I think position flexibility is always important. So we'll see how it goes. I'm looking forward to seeing him back out there.
When you told him that, did he understand? Or did he embrace going back inside?
No, he's a pro. LC's gone through a tough spot. Being out of it here for the 5 weeks. But I think he's done a really good job in the weight room and staying on top of his conditioning. He's just anxious to get back out there. So.
What's the challenge of slowing Dalvin Cook this week?
What's the challenge? Well, I think he's, obviously, I love his running style. I like the way he attacks the line of scrimmage. He's, a classic one-cut runner in this system, which has been a really good system for a long time in the league. So, he runs through arm tackles. He does a really good job of filling the apex and hitting the crease before it opens. So, I mean, you have to really have your gap control intact. So. He's definitely. I mean, you had a chance to play against him last year, and he's off to another great start.
Is there anything that you're looking for Lyle to show in practice and meetings and the sort that would make you say, all right, you're ready to retake that right tackle job, or how do you dictate that competition and what Lyle needs to show?
I just want him to get back out there and get back in the routine of everything. You know, I think it's like anything. There's a reason why we practice. You know, it's a reason why those old linemen, you know, spend so much time together, and you know, just the way they go about their business. So I just want to see him get back in rhythm.
How disappointed are you in KZ? He apparently got arrested over last week doing a bye.
Yeah, it's you know, obviously anytime, you know, one of us makes a mistake, it's a learning opportunity. I mean, there's obviously a legal part of it that, you know, it's still pending, so we'll go through that process. But I had a chance to speak to him at length, and you know, he made a mistake. So we're moving forward, but once again, I think it's something we can all learn from.
I can talk back on Dak here for a second. Is it fair to say that you're preparing as if he will play, or you're going in thinking he might not play? How do you view your mindset with him right now on a Wednesday?
I think I've already answered that. I mean, he's going to practice. He's going to go through the individual part of it. He's in the game plans. I mean, he's preparing to play. But you know, he's got to cross the threshold to make sure he's full go.
With Casey, have you heard from the league, and do you expect there to be any competitive?
I have nothing else to report other than what I just talked about.
Is there a date for normal kind of practice? Is there, you know, when would that threshold, I suppose, be determined for Dak? When you seem clear, getting clear?
There's not a timeline. I mean, I think like anything, I mean, he's a proven veteran player. He's playing at a high level, so we'll give him the whole week to make that decision.
How does Jaron Curse bring energy to the defense, and is that aspect of his role in the room something you knew going in when you signed him?
Well, we knew he's a heck of a football player. I mean, just, you know, I had a chance to, you know, compete against him from, you know, across the division, and always had great respect for him as a special teams player. He was a huge matchup challenge when I was in Green Bay and he was in Minnesota, and then I thought, you know, when Detroit did a nice job utilizing them in their sub packages, and you could see the matchup, you know, capability and the production that he had up there in Detroit, and he's been everything plus that, you know, since he came here. So, you know, you could see the ability, the flexibility that he gives you, you know, defensively. But you know, you really didn't know what kind of person he was until you have a chance to work with him. So, love his work ethic. I mean, he's a great communicator, you know, and he's done a really good job of just totally doing it the right way. You know, and super competitive, but he's been a great addition to our football team.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.